Hello DMT1100 students. We're going to do a quick lesson on how to use Adobe Premiere to do some video editing. I'll be using Adobe Premiere CS4, which is what we currently have in our computer lab. You may have downloaded a trial version or picked up the educational version of CS5, and truthfully there's not much of a difference. When we first launched Premiere Pro, we have the option to open up a previous project or start a new one. So I'm going to hit New Project. And then what we're going to do is pretty much leave all these settings go. We're going to set a location. And this location, for argument's sake, will be the desktop for this class, simply because this is where all our raw videos will be. We're going to create a project folder that's going to contain all of the place markers of all of our video clips. So it should be in the same location as the raw clips. When we name it, we can call it Final DVD or Final Demo and hit OK. Now what we've done is create a project file. This is not going to be the actual video compilation. It's going to be the placeholder of all the different parts we use. For this class, we're going to do a DV-NTSC standard 48 Hz. Make sure you don't go with the default. The default is high definition, and even though that's a great thing, if you didn't render your videos to high definition, you will find yourself with a big black window around your renderings, and it'll look very poor. So DV-NTSC standard 48 Hz, frame size 720x480, which is what we rendered at, frame rate of 29.97. The sequence is typically thought of as chapters on a DVD. Our demo is just going to be one sequence, so we can leave that go. Just say OK. Now, once Premiere launches, we'll do a quick introduction here. This is our project window, and any clips, audio, video, photographs, whatever we bring in are called assets. Those will be in our project window, and they'll show up here in this library. Below that, we have several different tabs. We have a media browser, which allows us to go out and look in different drives for media, info on the particular clip that's selected, some visual effects, audio effects, transitions will be playing around in here, and then the history panel simply shows us what we've done step by step in case we need to take a step back into a previous step. We have two windows here. The first window on the left here is blank right now. That is going to be our preview window. Any movies we bring in, we can double click and preview them here, the raw clips. The one to the right here is the output window. Anything that we edit down here in the timeline will be playable back here. So this is sort of what comes in and this is what goes out. You can see that we have simple play buttons, and there's a few other gadgets that we'll play around with as we go, but just remember that this is in the source in, and then this is coming out. We have our timeline similar to Max. This is actually seconds down here as it plays, and we have layers. We can layer videos on top of each other. Layers on top are the predominant, so they'll show up. So video 2 would show up on top of video 1. Audio, since audio can't be layered like video, you could have multiple sounds. So maybe a music playing in the background, and then audio 2 could be special sound effects for parts of the animation. To the right here, we have several tools. Our selection tool will be very commonly used. We will be using the rate stretch in case we want to make something longer or shorter. It'll take it. The razor tool, which will allow us to cut a clip and move it around using the select tool. We also have the hand tool, which is able to move things around. And pretty much that's the ones we'll be using for this particular class. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and show you an example here. What's important to know is that we do not open files, we import files. If we go to open, we're going to open up another project. So we want to file, import, and that's going to allow us to go out and navigate and find our raw clips. Now, again, for argument's sake, demonstrations, I'm going to show you here. I have a couple different clips that I brought in from my roller coaster project that I talked with you guys about. and you can select multiple clips by holding the control key and hit open. That's going to import the media in here. It's going to show up here as a little video clip, and then it's going to tell you how many frames per second, which I rendered at 30. That'll be close enough. We can also bring in some sound. So I'm going to File, Import, and I'm going to navigate out here and see if I can find some music. I do have so I have sounds. Bring in a sound. Now I can go ahead and hit play and double click, and that shows me the clip, and I hit play down here, and that'll give me a preview of what the video looks like. I can also double click on a sound, hit play, and I can have sound. Now your sound, you may not hear the sound, but there is sound there. So what I can do for the simplest editing is to start taking these clips and dragging them down into the timeline. Now you notice as I do that the clips look awfully small. All we have to do is zoom in. We're not going to have to extend the time. But I put those clips there, and I can come down to this tool here, zoom in, and that allows me to get closer into the timeline. Now, as I said earlier, this is our output. This shows whatever's in the output window. I hit play, and you'll see that the first clip comes along, and immediately the second clip will play where the coaster goes up on the hillside. And in a few seconds I'm going to show you how we can cut parts of these clips out so that they kind of flow together. The next one shows another section of the coaster coming up. And then our fourth section here does another swing by, and it just kind of stops there. So using some of the basic editing tools, we can take our select tool, pick a clip, and pick it up into a different layer and shift things around here. So we do something like that. Okay, so you can rearrange the clips in any order that you'd like. You can click and drag a window around all the clips and move them over to the right side, leaving a free space, possibly for an introduction or credits at a future time. We can go ahead and grab the audio, pull the audio down into the audio track, and notice here that the audio track far exceeds the length of the video. And then the first good couple seconds of the music you can barely hear. So maybe I want to come up here and I want to cut part of that audio. I use that razor tool. I just come over, click. That separates the two clips. Now they're both still there. I'd hit play, you wouldn't even know the difference. But I can now take this one and I can remove it, okay, to a different layer, or I can hit delete on my keyboard and physically get rid of it. If I hit delete, there it goes. Now I can move that over and so forth. Okay, so that's a good start to what we're going to do here for our preview. Is to take all of our video clips, all our raw clips, bring them in and set them up in some kind of system that's going to flow. Either put each project in its own category, or we can randomly bounce around depending on what we want to do. Video clips are the same way. We can come over here and say, if you notice here, in fact, I'm going to turn this audio off. I'm going to delete the audio for now. And let's say we got this coaster coming in, and notice how it's just about ready to hit the bottom of that hill. But then over here, there's another version of that. So what I can do is I can come over here and say, all right, right about there, I am going to cut. And then I'm going to see how the timing works out here. But this can go up. This can come over. This can go over, and we'll do something like this. Now I know this looks kind of funny, but what's going to happen is Flyby 4 video is going to overlap, but they were both rendered at the same time, so they should pretty much line up when we're done. So we hit this button, it flies up, it shows a fly around the corner there, and maybe the timing's a little off, but it hits the bottom and it shows it coming around the corner. So this is just an example of how you can use different view perspectives. All right, just kind of throwing this together now. I'm going to go ahead and do one quick cleanup. Just going to cut this out. Since you won't see the underneath of the layer, I can simply cut that, hit delete, slide it down, and now I have a nice straight linear part. Okay, for my next part of the lesson, I'm going to show you how to add in what we call a title. And a title is pretty much a layer, an invisible layer that allows you to put text on top of things. I normally like to put my timeline where that title is going to be inserted because it'll give you a preview, for instance, the black background. And I come up to a title, and I go to New Title, Default Still, and I just hit OK. And what that's going to let me do is come in and type something like Tom's Coaster. Now you can format this just like Microsoft Word. You can center it. You pick different font previews. You pick different fonts that are saved on your computer. That's dreadful there. Let's try something a little bit more exciting. How about, wow, there's quite a few to choose from here, but we'll do this one. And you can also change the color. So there's no reason to use just plain, simple, bland colors. That you can come out and put your title in there. Now there are ways to animate. I'll cover that with you in a future lesson. But for now, let's just hit close. And what happens is it puts it in a layer over here, pretty much in our project window. We can click and drag that out, and you'll notice it shows in the output window. Now when I hit play, it'll show the video, but as you notice, the video clip shows up in the background. So it is a transparent layer that's going to pretty much let you see the background. So you could just move all this stuff over and have your title play with your video in the background, or you can move this over and let your title be a solid black background and then have your clips start to play. So anytime you create a new title, you just go to Title, New Title, and it'll allow you to name it if you want or just hit OK. And now you could put in, things, little captions at the bottom. You could go in and say, shot 1. This is really not what you would do for your project. You might want to put like robot project or walkthrough project or whatever, but just to give you an example of how this works. Now you're probably saying, well, I can see the word Tom's Coaster in the background. That's okay. It's not really there. It's only there because we're at that point of the timeline. You could come out here, drag in Title 2, and you'll notice now that Shot 1 shows up with that in the background. Okay, so that's just an example of how to do titles and captions. Credits are going to be no different. Go out, add a new title, type in the information that you want. A lot of people put multiple titles in a row that kind of introduce the different aspects of their project. Next we have transitions. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit just to show you the difference between a clip here. Notice when I hit play on the timeline, it hits that part of that clip and it's an abrupt change from one video to another. One of the requirements for your final demo is to use professional transitions. To do that, we're going to hit the word Effects, Video Transitions, and there are all these preset categories of different video transitions. Now, you're welcome to go in and experiment with them. I will tell you that Dissolve is pretty much the most subtle. It is sort of one of our things we teach in digital video is do not get crazy with using different transitions between different clips. You should pick one you like and stay constant through that video. Multiple types of transitions gets very distracting and kind of takes away from the focus of your project. I like Dip to Black. You take the transition, you drop it in there. You may get this error message. No worry, it'll be okay. It's just that we're working with such small clips. But when you hit play, now you'll see that it dips to black and then it comes back. Now you can also go ahead and if you don't like that transition, you have two ways of getting rid of it. One is to right click and hit clear. The other is to just take a new transition and drag it on top of the old one and that'll overwrite. So I could go in and do edited dissolve. Again, I'm going to get that message, but here when I hit play, you'll watch the transition happen. It kind of fades out a little bit there. So there are all these different ones, and I'm not going to show you all of them, but hopefully you can find one that you like and find a nice consistent pattern. So that's transitions for you. So far we've learned how to import clips in, cut them up, move them around, add them in different layers. We've had titles in here, which is going to help us with captions and sequence markers and whatnot. And then, of course, we have the transitions. We've also learned how to bring audio in. So this is really the bare minimum that we need to get going with our demo. It does take a little bit of work getting your clips set up, putting the titles in the right place. If you do need to cut, I did show you that tool. If you do need to extend, and I don't recommend it, but let's say you needed just a couple extra seconds of this video, taking the rate stretch tool allows you to click and drag out and make that a little longer. That's simply going to make it slower. The problem is if you make a digital clip slower, when you render, the quality will suffer. You'll see a quality difference between the good clips and the altered clips. So when in doubt, it's always better to speed things up. Use the same tool just by coming to the end and shifting in. Now you'll watch the coaster is going to move a lot faster through that loop. So it comes up and it flies up through there pretty fast. As opposed to the, it's 156% as opposed to the original, which the clip went a lot slower. Okay. When in doubt, render slower and speed up in Premiere. Don't do the opposite. Okay. One more thing I'm going to show you here, and that's going to be pretty much how we're going to take our final video. We'll drop some sound in there. Okay, again. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to cut that sound. And you're probably asking, okay, well, once the sound is done, how do I fade out the sound? The sound is just going to come to an abrupt stop. And if you look, and each clip has a yellow line. If you select that clip, when you do, this little white dot pops up, and that's a keyframe. And what we can do is click that. That keeps a keyframe, just like in Max. Each keyframe needs an ending point. So I come to the end, I hit keyframe again, and that yellow line represents the decibel level. So by adding 2 keyframes in here, I can take that second keyframe, drop it, and that's going to lower the decibel level, thus fading out the sound. It's a little different with video clips, for instance here, because I can add a keyframe in at the same location, and then I pull it over here. Since there's no audio in the actual video clip, the transition here is going to occur is a fade to black, because we're taking the picture, we're lowering the opacity of the picture to the background. So now I hit play, and the sound and the audio, the audio and the video both fade out at the same time, making a nice professional transition. So that's a neat little trick. Last but not least, let's save our project. If we go to File, Save As, again, we should already have been saving all along, but we hit Save. Yes, we want to save this because if we want to do any future edits, we can open this up, and Premiere will hold all of our placeholders, such as our cuts and all that. Now, keep in mind, we are not altering the original video clips. They are still over here in the project window, untouched. What we do have is sort of like preliminary cuts. So you're not destroying your original videos by doing this, okay? It's sort of like Photoshop. When you drop layers in, you're not really destroying the original photo. How do we export this? File, Export Media. We go out to the export settings. Let's make sure that we're at 72480. And we also have under here where it says Microsoft AVI. We definitely want to work with Microsoft AVI. You may be asking, yes, MPEG-2 and Blu-ray would work, but we're going to compress this when we get over to Encore. Encore is going to put it into an MPEG format when we burn it to a disk. Output name. Now, don't forget, this is not the project file output is actually going to take us to where the final AVI is that we're going to put into Encore. So we will call this final demo video. And we'll probably put our last name on it so that when we put ours together, they all are identifiable. Last but not least, you could look at the video settings here. We could go with no compression. I'm going to go with DV-NTSC just for argument's sake. Audio should be all good by default. If we hit OK, what's going to happen now is it's going to open up in Media Encoder. Media Encoder is going to do the rendering for you. So you can actually, once you start rendering, you can go back into Premiere and do more work if you'd like. But you'll see that it's saying that this is where our files are going to go. I hit Start Queue, and it rips through pretty fast on my computer here. Yours may be a little slower because of the amount of clips you have. But once this fills up to the yellow, your final rendering is done. You can go out, preview it, and you've got yourself a video that's ready to go into a DVD. So again, this is just a preliminary, kind of like an introduction. We're going to briefly go through these steps again in our next class. What you can do next is watch the videos I have posted for creating a DVD. I made them last year, so they should be still pretty accurate. But it will help you to understand how we're going to put together our DVD and do some cool interaction navigation so the buttons take you to different chapters and all that good stuff. Okay, so email me if you have any questions. We'll see you in class next week.